All right.
Welcome to It Takes Two. I'm Blair.
I'm Chris.
And today we'll be talking about Love and Marriage Huntsville Season 6 Reunion Part 1.
Hey, listen, guys. Happy New Year. Take that Christmas tree down now. We already it's a full week now. Take that Christmas tree down. We almost have Martin Luther King Day. Listen, subscribe, like, share, comment. We appreciate all the love. We appreciate all the hate. We appreciate everything that y'all give us. Blair, walk us through this part 1 of 3, I think it is.
Yes.
Walk us through this episode.
Well, we start with Carlos greeting everyone in their dressing rooms.
Yeah.
The couple that really stood out was Marsau and Tisha. One, they had a huge picture of themselves on the outside of their door.
I hope they ain't do that themselves.
And 2, they are wearing boxing robes ready for the fight.
Why do you think they was wearing boxing robes? Or who idea do you think it was to wear boxing robes?
I honestly think it was Marsau's. I
so?
feel like he probably thought it would be funny. And I think that, he thought it would help, lift Tisha's spirits and things like that. And so I feel like he did it as like a fun, jokey type of thing.
I think it was Tisha.
Okay.
Tisha's known for props. Remember, I think it was last season reunion or maybe the one before that, but I think it was last season where she brought out puppets.
Yeah.
And things like that. I think all of it is Tisha, but continue.
Well, we start with the discussion when everyone gets seated around Tisha and Marsau's business acumen related to the Black Business Expo and their daughter's hair products. Tisha feels that everyone was hating on them about the expo, and Carlos asks Stormi and Courtney if they consider the Scotts to be on their level as far as a power couple. Tisha didn't like the question that Carlos asked, so she overtalks Stormi, then talks about how Stormi doesn't pay people and tells Stormi she can pop pills and shut up.
Wait a minute now. KeKe not on the stage?
No.
So where did that come from?
I have no clue.
I was so confused. I was watching this with my wife, and I was like, why did she just randomly talk to KeKe and threw a shot at KeKe, and Blair was like, KeKe not on the stage? I was like, she has to be on the stage. Because where in the season has it been alleged that Stormi popped pills?
Yeah.
Right? So let's walk through this, right? Tisha, the only thing that I agree with you with when it comes to the Black Expo is that the people that say that they won't help me for free cannot give me criticism for free.
Right.
That's the only part that I stand with Tisha with. Everything else, Tisha, I don't know what you came on. I don't even understand what really got you so wound up to where you're like, you know what, you on TikTok, you need to pay people on TikTok, or like you need to talk about those people that have those invoices that you need to finish. What are you talking about? And then to just throw out there about popping pills. What are we talking about here?
Yeah.
All of this is all from, quote unquote, we question your business acumen, right? Because for one, let's start with, you plagiarized the return and shipping policy from Canvas Beauty.
Yeah. Not
to the point to where you just said word for word. Not only that, but you left their email on the return policy,
their address
so
for returns.
So it makes no sense.
Yeah.
Right? I think Carlos, or maybe am I jumping the shark? Let me know. Reel me back in if I am, Blair. But they start talking about, quote unquote, like, how did that happen?
Yeah, you're jumping.
I'm jumping a little bit?
Yeah, we'll
okay,
get there.
We will get there. Walk me through it, Blake. Go ahead.
Well, Stormi responds and says, as Black entrepreneurs, we don't always have the resources and the guidance, mentorship, and we're all just trying to learn how to operate in this entrepreneurial space. Yeah. And she tells Tisha, it seems like she practiced this in the car.
Oh, yeah. You definitely practiced your insults in the car. What did you thought so far about this scene, Blake?
I just felt like Tisha was coming so out of left field. She wasn't this rah-rah during the season at all to people's faces.
No.
So for her to come on the stage and get the bargain and saying random stuff that we're not even talking about, it was just so out of place. And I just felt like, I don't know if it was the robes that gave her, this added energy
to go boxing robe.
Yeah, to go after people. I'm just like, Tisha, like, let's answer questions and have discussions. Like, what is this? What is this?
What is this? It's a perfect way to feel this.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, moving on.
Come on, Blake. Because we definitely come
Tisha's
back.
being weird.
Yeah. Okay. Come on.
So we talk about the copy and paste error with Canvas Beauty.
Yeah.
And Stormi tells Tisha, look, I gave you grace.
Yeah.
When it comes to that situation. But apparently you came here with an agenda today.
Yeah, she definitely did. Come on.
And I just want to say, yeah, Stormi absolutely gave her grace. She could have sued the pants off you, girl.
No. Stormi, there's still time. Sue her.
Because she don't get it.
No, people don't learn.
She don't get it.
People don't learn. This gonna sound crazy coming from someone who is a Christian.
Okay.
So, but I'm gonna try my best to toe that
line. Okay, don't fall.
People don't understand grace sometimes. Mm-hmm. You know, sometimes they gotta feel a little judgment. Not us though, please. You get what I'm saying? But you gave her grace. You gave her a break. You get what I'm saying? And this is crazy because if y'all watch our reviews throughout the season, you know I'm not the biggest fan of Stormi. I actually have some episodes titled "Get Stormi Off My Show." Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? So the fact that Tisha has me here reviewing this show, reviewing this reunion, and defending Stormi, Tisha, what's wrong with you? Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? Now here's the thing about it: you copy and paste. And guess what? Blair go walk us through it. She's about to blame the web designer again, ain't she, Blair?
Yeah, she explains.
Go ahead.
She used a web designer, and Carlos explains to her that he would have asked the web developer to put out a statement, basically like copying to that was his mistake. Yeah. Stormi says, look, we have to take blame for our own errors as business owners. And that's pretty much how that conversation ended.
Go back up. Carlos was quick to be like, well, if I was the web designer, or basically if I was in that position, I would get the web designer to make a statement and things like that to cover me. Carlos, why are you like defending Tisha? It seems like, like, number one, Carlos, don't believe that lie. No web designer went randomly and said, you know what shipping and return policy I'm going to use? I'm going to use Canvas Beauty.
But I don't know if you caught it, but Tisha said at the beginning that, you know, this is a web designer that we all use. Who all? Because Stormi said that she came up with her own stuff.
First of all,
so who all?
Listen, Tisha, the whole point is that you was caught plagiarizing.
Yes.
Even if everybody used it, everybody was smart enough to at least change the email to where they can like write their reviews or do the return policy. You wasn't, right? And we over here talking about quote unquote, is Tisha a good business person, or like are they a power couple? Well, let me tell you something about Tisha. Tisha is not a good business person. I think I can go this far. If I'm jumping the shark, let me know. But Tisha, you're not a good business person because you just burnt millions of dollars on the stage right then and there. I own a couple businesses. You feel me? And the fact that you are trying to get into e-commerce or not the Canvas Beauty business, but you trying to do this hairline with your daughters, and you know someone personally in that business,
and you could actually use and talk to her and figure out how she did it, but you don't want to use your resources because her issue is she gets so defensive to the point she stops making sense.
But no one's attacking her. It's crazy.
Exactly. Like she gets so defensive to where she can't even listen to reason or be reasonable. Like it's honestly like shocking to watch. No, I'm in shock and awe.
No, listen, it's shocking to watch somebody burn millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars on stage.
Yeah,
it's crazy because this whole idea that you feel like people are coming for you where you're the one that's wrong. You're the one that plagiarized. Stop putting it on that web designer. It's easy to say the web designer did it because that person has no face. We don't know the name. We don't know any of that. So go ahead.
Yeah, but I mean, that's true. And also, Tisha, like Stormi's saying, as someone in a leadership position, as an owner, as all these type of things, like you're the person who takes the hit for the smaller people's mistakes.
Yeah.
And for you to not even be able to say, you know, it was an oversight error. I corrected it. She did eventually end up saying it, but it was like pulling teeth. And I don't even think she believes that she should have said that.
No.
She just wants to put it off. Oh, that was that person's fault. It had nothing to do with me.
It did make me look bad. That's weird.
That's not how you come across as like somebody who like owns their own business and is invested in all that type of stuff. Like it's makes me sick.
It makes you sick? That's kind of strong.
I mean, it's just annoying. It's just irritating.
Tisha, I'm going to say what you said to Melody. You came off at the reunion as if you have a dark soul. And it's strange. You went on that stage and you said, go pop pills to the point where your husband had to turn to you and say, that's too far. Relax. This reminds me, if y'all are fans of the show, y'all will know this scene. It's online. I even put it in the description so y'all can watch it for yourselves. Marsau warned Tisha on season 1 reunion about her behavior, right? Saying, hey, whenever they want Tisha to jump, she jumps. If they want her to bark like a dog, she barks like a dog. And basically, my whole point, this is Marsau words, he said, listen here, we are the Scots, right?
Yeah.
We are the Scots, and we own stuff, and we have children. Would you want your daughters to look at what or how you behave and say, I want to be like her? And now we are seasons past that moment, and now you over there telling and alleging this woman, talking about go ahead, pop some pills.
Like defamation ain't a real thing.
As if, that's why I said Stormi should just sue her. Because she don't understand
it's ridiculous.
She's not a good business person because she burns money. That is actually interesting to see. Continue.
Yeah. Well, we move on to Maurice's quest for sexual healing.
Yes.
Kimmi explains that the lack of libido is a side effect of some of the medication.
Yeah.
And Maurice immediately says he was ignorant of the situation. He learned a lot by going through it, and he apologizes. He's a different person behind it.
Stop it. Let's walk through this. When they were showing the past scenes of everything that's going on, also, let me give you a side note also. When they all was coming in, Kimmi, I do love the short hair, and that is not for me to say like, oh girl, you look good with your short hair because of things going through. I'm actually a big fan of short hair.
Yeah, you do like short
hair. You look beautiful with the short hair. You look beautiful with the long hair, but you look beautiful with the short hair. I just want to get
striking.
that up. Yes. But this whole time while they were showing the scenes of this past seasons of everything that Maurice has said, Kimmi sat there and she looked kind of disturbed. It is kind of disturbing to watch because especially if you haven't seen everything, you get to see how everything played out. Listen here. Do we appreciate Maurice's statement that he created and said that he apologized and he was ignorant behind everything he was saying? No, I don't appreciate it. And I don't accept it because how were you ignorant of what was going on and what she was going through when she was telling you directly what she's been going through? And
every time she said it to you, you dismissed it as being in her head. So the apology that you're giving to the public, I mean, I don't believe that you believe what you're saying.
No.
You're just saying something just to smooth things over with your wife.
And guess
but
what?
You absolutely feel the same way.
Look, well, I'm not gonna put absolutes on it.
Okay.
But I will say that I can objectively say that I do not believe that you didn't know because Kimmi told you every time that you requested sex.
Yeah.
Every time you brought up sex and their sexual and your sexual relationship and the lack of or like whatever, she told you like, hey, I had cancer. My body's recovering. And to say that, oh, I was ignorant and I didn't know what I was saying and I apologize. I'm like, what didn't you know? You didn't know your wife had cancer? You didn't know your wife was recovering? Continue.
But I also want to just kind of bring it back to, like you said, when they were walking on the stage, Carlos made like a joke about liking it from the back or something like that. And they both like that. And Maurice, he ha and joking around with Carlos, talking about, their sexual like preferences and stuff like that. And Kimmi was like, that's not funny.
Did she say that?
Yeah. She's like, I don't find that funny.
Oh, I ain't hear that.
Yeah. And then they sat down and stuff like that. And that's where like he's still playing. Like,
well, it's not even that. Carlos shouldn't be playing with him like that either, and things like that.
Well, Carlos trying to get him caught up.
I understand that, but I'm not on the. I understand the jokes of it, but I'm on the seriousness of Maurice talking about, oh, I didn't know. And I'm like, bro, how did you know? Your wife been screaming it from the mountaintop.
Right.
Like, continue.
Yeah. Well, Kimmi says that a fruitful sex life in her marriage is important to her as well.
Stop right there. Kimmi, you're lying. What do you mean? Because every time throughout this season, you didn't express, quote unquote, how important it was to you too. Every time it was attached to Maurice.
Yeah, like, let me do this for Maurice. Let me get the sex therapist for Maurice.
Exactly. Like, it was never packaged as sex is important to me too.
Yeah, for the health of our relationship.
Exactly. It was always like, oh, I got a therapist for us, for you. I did a boudoir, or I think that's what it's called, right?
It is. Uh-huh.
For us, for you. You get what I'm saying? It's not in my head for us, for you. You get what I'm saying? So, like, Kimmi has a thing, and I don't know how real it is, but people, I hear y'all say that Kimmi has a knack of defending men on this show and not really basically like being on the side of the women. Kimmi, I think you should have let Maurice hang out and dry just a little bit.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Because I understand that you're his wife and things like that, but I will tell you something based on my opinion. I see smoke coming from that house. I see smoke coming from that marriage. And that's my opinion. I'm just a legend. Based on the characters that I seen on the show. I don't know these people. We don't know these people. But based on the characters that he showed, based on the inconsistencies that Maurice has shown, based on the inconsiderate behavior that he's shown to you, even little jokes, as Blair talked about the jokes that he may say, the jokes that he had with his brother about the hair blown in the wind. And then for the last episode of this season, Kimmi talks about how emotionally attached, or how people talk about how different she looked with her hair and things like that. I guess one of the people who was talking about her hair was her husband and things like that. And my thing is, you can make those little jokes if you can, quote unquote, if you was loving, patient, kind, all those things. You get what I'm saying? But the fact that you can make that joke and then the next scene or the next scenes prior to that was you begging for sex, or you talk about, hey, it's all in your head, it doesn't make it seem like you're a kind person to her situation.
It feels like a pile-on.
Exactly. So, Kimmi, I do not agree with you that, hey, a fruitful sex life is important to me too. More important than saving your life, because that's what was going on.
Well, I wouldn't say it like that.
I would say exactly like that. Cancer is a real thing. And at that moment, I can say that, hey, Kimmi, if you felt like in that moment that my libido is low based off of the medication and based on the recovery that I've been going through, hey, right now, sex may not be on my top priority. I can be like, I get it.
Yeah.
You went through something, and based on the knowledge you told me, it is an aggressive form of a cancer that she had.
Yeah.
And things like that. So at that moment, and guess what? She may have cared about sex prior to the diagnosis, but the fact that, hey, I have this diagnosis, I beat it, and now my body's recovering. Hey, right now, I want to focus on recovering and getting my life back together.
Sex is not the priority at the moment. Yeah, it's not a either or. It's just sex is not the priority.
Exactly. Yeah. I guess what? I won the fight.
Right.
And now I'm recovering. Continue.
Well, then she talks about how she was faking orgasms, and she says it was fine faking it, but telling it was the issue. Maurice said that no, it's bad that she was faking it because he actually considers that to be a lie, and he wants to make sure that they're both there and present and enjoying the situation.
And just that quickly, we get off of Maurice and Kimmi. And now it turns into, hey, have y'all ever had fake orgasms? Have y'all ever faked it in bed?
And Marsau says, maybe you're just bad at sex. Have you thought about that, Maurice? Yeah. Well, then we move on. Mel says that, yes, she faked orgasms in her marriage. And Carlos asks, what about the sex didn't satisfy you? And Mel says, when a person is loving one day, me the next day, it takes a toll on how your body responds to them.
Hey, listen here. Women been saying that for years. You get what I'm saying? Martell can't take it. He like, man, she lying. Look at me. Look at me. She's lying. And my whole point is, listen here, Martell. I don't think Martell can't take any criticism towards him.
He can't. It's like shoots his ego. Like, yes. It hurts him as a person.
Yes.
Like, you can't say anything negative about him because he takes it as you're like tearing him down.
After he already tore people down. You get what I'm saying?
And his whole daggone family apart.
So my whole thing is, Martell, number one, no one believes Melody. No one believes Melody in the whole point of throughout her whole marriage she was faking it. But the fact that your ego can't even take criticism, right? It's like, bro, let it go. Let her have this. Cause you had your cake and eat it too a whole bunch of times.
Yeah.
Let her have her moment in the sense of, hey, I be faking it. Just sit. He just can't sit there and take it because he feels like, to your point, it's a personal attack to his ego. I don't even know why your ego is on the stage, brother.
Yeah, because the thing at the end of the day, we see that y'all have 4 kids together.
Yeah.
I mean, the fruit is there. Now, whether or not she was pleased and all that type of stuff, I can't speak for her in that sense. But the sex wasn't bad, as we can see.
Listen here. Mel said, listen here. I faked it the same way as you faked being faithful in this marriage. And I was like, well, that's what happened when you talking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just be quiet, sit down somewhere. Continue.
Right. Well, Tisha, she eventually, because she liked to go roundabout the way, but she ends up saying that, yeah, she's faked it before.
She said, yeah, everybody does it. All women do it. Go ahead.
And Stormi says she's never faked it.
That's Stormi. That's the correct answer to go right there. I don't understand why all these women is on stage talking about how they faked it and things like that. Stormi like, no, I never faked it with Courtney. Courtney pleased me 100%. Thank you, Courtney.
And to me, that's how you supposed to be.
Exactly.
Like, why am I gonna tell y'all?
Exactly.
Y'all ain't in my bedroom.
And that's my
as
only,
far as y'all know, we perfect.
And that's my only criticism with this scene right here. This was should have been a scene about Maurice's behavior, and it wasn't. It turned into a faking orgasm conversation. Yeah, which is not that. That was a small detail that Mel said in the pool. But what has been the undertone and overtone of this show is Maurice's behavior towards Kimmi when it came to sex and intimacy. Because he did not view intimacy as patience. He did not view intimacy as being there and being kind and things of that nature. Continue.
Yeah. Well, they take a break and we see Tisha and Marsau in their dressing room. Yeah. And Tisha is fed up with the people, with the attacking, with all this type of stuff. And she feels like basically it's the reckoning. Marsau tells Tisha she still needs to be mindful of the fact that she's a businesswoman. And outside of all this, they still have their businesses they have to go back to and be, pillars in the community and all this type of stuff. And Tisha says, well, you get to a point where basically you want to tell people who they're messing with, and she wants Stormi to stop talking to her crazy. Question. Or stop talking to her, period.
Question. Who is attacking Tisha?
Nobody.
No, maybe I missed something. So
no, Tisha feels attacked, but it's because Tisha doesn't like when people have negative things to say. Every negative comment is not an attack, and that's where Tisha's gets her wires crossed. Just because someone doesn't agree with something, doesn't like something, or feels a certain type of way, it's not automatically they're attacking you. And I agree with Marsau. You're going a little far. Basically, he didn't say this, but telling people they popping pills.
No, he did. He did say that. He said, you say too far. Yeah. He literally said that.
But I'm saying, when he was breaking down with her in the dressing room, he was just trying to tell her overall, keep it cute, because you're doing a lot. And she thinks that she's out here and just people get fed up and they just go off. And he's just you don't get to, I think his analogy was have good flights, you fly a plane and I'm going to crash it just this one time. Yeah. No, this is your character, but we're seeing Tisha's character.
No, she has a dark soul.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. Marsau said it 100 times. He said, listen here, let people talk about you. And that's when Tisha was you just can't sit there and let people just keep talking about you. And Marsau was like, yes, you can.
Yeah, it don't change nothing.
That's the part of the job. People's going to talk and things like that. And she said, well, we just going to agree to disagree. And that's when I'm like, no, we're not going to agree to disagree because you're if not co-owner, you're a partner in all my businesses. This is a requirement for us to make money. I just seen you burn millions of dollars on stage.
This is the morality clause.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm about to fire you. You get what I'm saying? Because I've seen you burn money on stage.
Yeah.
Literally, you could have built a bridge to Stormi. And use Stormi. And when I say use it, I don't mean use it in a bad way, but use your resources.
Yeah.
Stormi talks about how for black entrepreneurs, there's not a lot of resources. There's one literally across the
and not a lot of mentors
and things of that nature. So my whole thing is that Stormi at that moment, you could have humbled yourself under Stormi. You could have been nice to Stormi and be apologetic to Stormi for something that you actually did wrong, right? And now Stormi already guess what? I'm done with Tisha. I try to be nice, but now guess what? She's about to feel it.
Yeah.
And my whole thing is, listen, Stormi look like she fights. And I'm like, Tisha, unless you've been in a fight recently, I don't understand why you're saying fighting words.
Yeah.
And basically giving fighting energy. You get what I'm saying? It makes no sense, but continue.
Yeah, so we get back to the stage. We've got the ladies and Marsau on stage.
This is interesting because this is this was name that's the women's time on stage, but Marsau is there.
Yeah, because Marsau has been involved in a lot of the issues with the women. Yeah. So he's on to speak his piece,
I guess.
And Then we get a clips and reels about did Marsau go too far with the women this season, and we see him talking about the Stormi situation and also about Mel's t-shirt business. Marsau speaks on everyone's business, including the ladies. Is how Kimmi feels.
And listen here, that goes back to people's point. Let me know in the comments below. Do y'all feel like Kimmi is too protective of the men on this show and things like that? Because guess what? I can say Marsau, he is the levity of the show in my eyes. I laugh at Marsau. He's quick-witted and things like that. Right or wrong or whatever, it's just fun. It's just entertaining to watch. And in that moment. But there is something to Marsau. He said in the beginning of this segment that, hey, they come and ask me what I think, and they say, no, we don't.
Yeah. Nobody asked you
exactly.
what you think.
Continue.
Well, then we get on to the B word conversation.
Yes.
Marsau says that at first he was offended by the comment that Stormi made, but he knows that's what she does in her culture, so he just kind of leaves it at that.
Go ahead.
Stormi says that she uses that term for people with sass and attitude, and she said men usually move with more integrity, and he is poking for reactions for camera time, and that's what a B would do.
I don't understand how, because there's people try to make it as if like Marsau is saying something that is quote unquote inappropriate, and it's by saying it's her culture. They try to make it like what other culture is her besides a black African American woman? First of all, stop it, Carlos. That is not what Marsau means. He is literally repeating the words that Stormi said out her mouth. She said, "This is what I do." Guess what? I have been a bee since I was 2 years old or 3 years old. Whatever Stormi said in that moment when they was outside, and stuff like that. These are words. You cannot be offended, Stormi, by the words that you describe yourself and why you do. Yeah, this is just what we do and things like that. So my whole thing of, first of all, I don't like the idea or even the fact. And like I said, it's just a joke. And guess what? It is the boss. You know what I mean? Carlos joked around with Marsau in the beginning of the segment. Basically, I paraphrase to say, "I'm sitting with the big B." You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I didn't like that.
I ain't like that either. Like don't play around with that word. You get what I'm saying? Because it's all jokes. It's all jokes and games until I'm fighting you because you're not Stormi.
Exactly.
dude, you get what I'm saying? But my whole thing is this idea that Stormi is still trying to justify calling this man out of his name is wild to me.
Yeah.
And like she knows what she's doing, and this whole thing of like sass and things like that, all that is coded. It's coded. That is actually more offensive than the actual the cultural word in America. Cause I know what she's trying to say, but guess what? But she don't want to say it, especially with Carlos sitting on the stage and things like that. So I'm like, hey, stop being offensive, Stormi. Just get that word off of this show when it comes to calling men that all together. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Continue.
Yeah. And Carlos brings up how people have felt a way about Tisha allowing Stormi to call Marsau a B.
Facts.
And Tisha says that, well, she hasn't necessarily allowed Stormi to do it because she has no control over Stormi. But she says she feels sorry that Stormi would address a black man as a B, and she feels sorry for Courtney if this is an example of how she acts possibly in her household.
Okay. Listen here. I say this. Two things can be right. Number one, Tisha, you're lying. You did allow Stormi to call this man a B, your husband B, because the first time she called him a B was around you first before Marsau.
And that's what I don't get about Tisha. She's over here hooting and hollering and talking about pill popping, on the stage when nobody said nothing to her. But when somebody called your husband a B in
direct
your face,
insult,
you have nothing to say.
No. She says
that's the confusing part. Like the things that should get you riled up do nothing.
She says, you know what? Stormi is her own person. You know what I mean? Stormi's her own person. She's an adult. I can't make nobody do anything. But at the same time, when it comes to when you plagiarize, pop pills. No, listen here. My wife is confused. Stop confusing my wife, Tisha.
Yeah.
Okay? Listen. You should not call any man a B. That is a trigger word. Men don't even call each other that because that's a trigger word. We fight. You get what I'm saying? So Stormi, do not try to justify it. Do not try to speak in code language in the sense of, he's acting sass. Yeah, he acting like a woman and things like that. Basically, I know what you're saying. You get what I'm saying? This have nothing to do with, don't try to be offended by, he says the culture and things like that. That's the words you use to describe why you do it. And Tisha, you did allow it because I bet you if we was to just switch out the people, we put my wife in the place of Tisha's wife. My wife ain't letting nobody call me a B. No, and it's not even on some like type of like I'm gonna fight her.
Exactly. I'm not a fighter, but you're not gonna sit in my face and continuously call my husband a B, and I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna make you uncomfortable. Exactly. I'm not gonna get up and walk away. Like there's going to be a situation.
Exactly.
Like we're not just gonna continue the conversation.
Exactly.
Like that's not gonna happen.
That's not right. Continue.
Yeah. Well, Marsau says that he thinks that Stormi's insecure about being in the spotlight, and that she just, is fine with having this negative attention on her, and she communicates negatively. And Stormi says that she has been known prior to Love and Marriage Huntsville, and Marsau and Tisha have downplayed how well she's been known.
Listen here, both things could be correct. I think Stormi is very insecure. I think throughout her whole season, she has shown insecurity. That's why she talks out and acts out in the way that she does. That's why her mouth is louder and things like that, because she's hiding something. But Tisha's insecure too. Yeah. So like this whole idea of quote unquote Stormi is insecure of the spotlight. I think Tisha is insecure too. She's probably the most insecure on the show. You get what I'm saying? Because we see the same things when it comes to their mouths and things like that. They go too far and things like that. Now going back to being known on the show, me personally, I didn't know Stormi before the show, but based off the information that is out about them, she is very successful, and she did become an overnight sensation when it came to her beauty products and things like that. So. And truth be told, I only know Marsau and Tisha through Love and Marriage Huntsville. Right. And Tisha can go on and try to argue on stage, talk about I'm a millionaire too and things like that and things of that nature. But I would say that probably Stormi Money is probably a little bit more realer. You get what I'm saying, than their money. But continue.
Yeah. Next, we talk about Marsau downplaying the T-shirts.
Yeah.
Mel actually gives Marsau a T-shirt. And Carlos asks, does Tisha think Marsau doesn't want her to be successful? Tisha is on pretty much every one of Marsau's businesses. Mel says that Tisha has expressed wanting to do more, but in a way she's not being allowed to. Carlos is saying that anything outside of school, you don't want her to be successful in that. Is that the situation? And Marsau tells him, look, we are a team. We have goals as a team, things that we've had in motion for years. And if she wants to venture out and have a T-shirt business or sell smoothies or whatever, example that he gave, that is taking away from our big picture and our big goal. And no, I do have a problem with that.
How so?
No, he says that.
Oh, he says that. Okay. How do you feel about that statement right then and there? Do you feel like Marsau kind of don't want his wife to be more successful than him?
I don't think it's a thing of being more successful than him. I think what he's saying is true. I think he wants them to stick to the path and not get too distracted. And honestly, it may be from a place of him knowing his wife, because as we've seen, she's gotten overwhelmed this season when it comes to business. And he's like, I just need you to focus on this. You want to do everything else and be everything else and do everything else. And you're feeling overwhelmed. And now you want to be a stay-at-home mom and do nothing. Like, can we please focus on our goals? So I agree with the fact that Tisha should be able to do what she wants, but to me it doesn't seem like Tisha knows how to handle and juggle multiple things, and when she doesn't, then she just quits everything. Okay. So I think that's the mindset it's coming from. Hopefully, it could be right, could be wrong, but that's what it seems like to me.
Yeah, so I think I'm coming from that same angle. At least that path. Yeah. There's no way Tisha could be more successful than Marsau. Based off the characteristics that I've seen, the ethics that I've seen, there's not a chance.
Like, that's not going to take her far.
No, yeah. Ain't gonna take her nowhere. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? Like the fact that she don't even like accountability. So how are you gonna be more successful in business? You're in the back doing lunch break or whatever, and your husband telling you, hey, you're a businesswoman, you can't be doing this, and you're like, well, I'm just gonna agree to disagree. Like you're not gonna get far. Yeah. I've seen you burn money on stage with Stormi. You're not gonna get far. You get what I'm saying? Is there something to maybe Marsau doesn't want Tisha to have her own because that make her less dependent on him? I don't even think Marsau's thinking that far. Yeah. I think he's more on the lines of, listen here, I know what Tisha tell y'all on this camera and things like that, and the things she want to be and the things that she, want to aspire to be. She a businesswoman, but I know this woman.
Mm-hmm.
I know her. I know her potential. I know her work ethic. And I think it's just best if she just lets me do the heavy lifting. Because if I was to depend on her, right, I may be in a bind. We may be in a bind because you are not consistent with your work acumen. You're not consistent in accountability and business practices and things of that nature. So I do think it's more on what you said, Blair, in the sense of like he knows his wife even better than how we may know it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, continue.
Yeah. Well, Tisha talked about missing being a stay-at-home mom.
Now, this is interesting because at this point, I did not know this. I didn't know they did not finish watching the whole season when they take this reunion. So during this time, Mel is going on and on talking about how, like, you know, like you can do everything. Like, basically, you can be a businesswoman and things like that. And then when Carlos, quote unquote, said that, hey, Tisha, you talking about going back to being a stay-at-home mom, Mel was like, what?
I didn't catch her reaction.
Yeah, she was like basically like I ain't know that. You
yeah. Like I thought you wanted to do these things, but now you're saying you want to be at home and do nothing. Well, not do nothing, but you know, parent. Yeah.
Go ahead, continue.
Well, Carlos asked, "Did you get caught up in this whole boss trend?" And it's something that we do see a lot, like online, social media, of people wanting to be a boss and entrepreneur and all this type of stuff. And Tisha says, you know, she doesn't feel like she did. Marsau doesn't really feel like she did. Wait,
you're misspeaking. Marsau said yes, she did.
Oh, okay.
Tisha said no, she didn't, and then Carlos asked Marsau personally, dude, like you feel like she got caught up in the boss trend? He said yes, she did.
Oh, okay.
And that's when Tisha was like, no, I did not. But continue.
Yeah, well, Tisha says that after, you know, one of her children, she stayed at home and then went back into the workforce, but because she wanted to have her own, and she was raised by women who told her not to depend on men. And Marsau says, yeah, a family of single strong women, we call them the Rogers.
That was funny. Listen here.
Mel tells him to uncross his legs, you know, basically say he'd be a little too sassy.
Listen here.
But that was funny. That had me hollering.
Listen here, man.
We call them the Rogers.
You know a good take.
He got her. He got her.
Melly wasn't even expected it because Melly's usually quick with it and she can hang with Marsau.
Yeah, you know she can hang. Yeah,
but
she
boy,
can go
that was a gut punch right there. That Melly just had like, uncross your legs. You know what I mean? Listen here. I want to just correct something, our verbiage just a little bit, because when we say stay at home and do nothing, that is not what we mean.
No, I meant like being a mother and a parent and focusing her energy on that.
And that's my problem.
Instead of outside the house.
And that's my issue with just this scene a little bit.
Yeah.
Tisha was a stay-at-home mom, right? As far as I know, her kids is not in jail. Her kids doesn't do drugs. Her kids is doing well. And
they seem to be respectable, fine.
That's not where I'm going.
Okay.
But her kids is well. Yeah. And I can attribute that to Tisha. Right? Being a stay-at-home mom is a career. It is a respectable career. You hear many people give praise to mothers who work full-time jobs and able to still raise their kids. The whole point isn't about being able to do more things, and that's why you should get praise. Melody went on this whole tirade about how she's an entrepreneur, but yet she's still able to make the PTA meetings and things of that nature. And guess what? Respect. But just because you do more doesn't mean that we should take respect from someone who does less. Yeah. Especially when it comes to children, right? Being a stay-at-home mom is just as important as you calling yourself a boss lady, which I can, quote unquote, if I was to give my opinion, I would side with Marsau, saying I think people want to be like, hey, you fell into that trap of being a boss lady. And basically, when you're on a show with everybody making their money through entrepreneur, you kind of fall within that trend. Like, hey, I want to see if I can do this. Guess what? You do have degrees and things like that. And you probably did tell yourself there are some dreams that are left on the ground. But I think it goes back to Blair's point before. I think Marsau knows his wife and is honest with his wife in ways that I don't think Tisha is honest with herself. You get what I'm saying?
Right there, yeah.
And I think when it comes to being a stay-at-home mom, I think he's basically saying, hey, I don't want her to lose what's important to her. And he was talking about their children. Obviously, there was a conversation that they had that Tisha probably expressed to him what is important to her. Yeah. Right? And guess what? He just basically like, hey, I'm just trying to remind you of the day one plan. Remember, you didn't want to lose yourself excuse me, you didn't want to lose the children. You wanted to be involved, very involved with your kids. Now you coming to me telling me you want to do a day 100 plan, but I'm still on the day 1 plan. And people may look at that as misogynistic, and in some ways it is, right? Because
she can change her mind. She can have different thoughts and wants.
Listen here. I'll straight let y'all in behind the scenes a little bit. This is Blair's passion project. Like this YouTube channel. This wasn't my idea at all. You get what I'm saying? Me personally, I was against it. You get what I'm saying? But this is me supporting Blair's passion project and things like that. So there is testaments that people can change their mind and that the spouse should be supportive.
Yeah.
But I think when it comes to Tisha, I think Marsau knows Tisha a little bit better than what we do. I think we want more for Tisha than what he knows Tisha could give.
Yeah.
We like, Tisha, you can do it all. Look at me. And Marsau's like, she don't really got what you got. You know what I'm saying? Continue.
Right. And you pretty much just hit, all those points about the conversation about wanting to be there for her kids, not losing them.
Yeah.
Mel talking about she does PTA and she travels and she does all this type of stuff.
Sure.
But they also asked Marsau, does he have a fear of his wife like turning into Mel? And he says, well, turning into a single woman, yes. I don't want to get a divorce. So my only commentary my only commentary about that really is that yes, if the kids, if their well-being and all that type of stuff is really what is the most important to her in her life, and business takes a second row, then yes, like he is going to encourage her to do what brings her the most satisfaction. But I do think that Tisha might benefit from, maybe like counseling, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be like some type of like mental health counseling, but it could just be like career counseling. Like, how do I manage? Like, I want to do all these things, but I really don't know where to start. And maybe she just needs some help with organization. So maybe it doesn't need to be a thing of she needs to go back home and give up all her business dreams, but just like figure it out, and get some help figuring it out.
Yeah, 100%. Continue.
Yeah. Then all the couples come back together on stage, and we also see KeKe on the stage.
Hey, KeKe.
We see clips of the ups and downs of KeKe and Tisha's relationship this season.
Yeah.
And KeKe explains the situation of the issue that they had with somebody coming out talking about Marsau having a threesome.
Yeah.
And she was basically saying that it wasn't from her. She was repeating it to Mel. And the whole reason she was repeating it to Mel is because Mel asked how KeKe and Tisha's relationship is. That's some BS.
That's very BS.
You could say, hey, we're at a good place. We're not at a good place. But I agree with Tisha when she said the conversation didn't sound like a concerned cousin.
Number one.
It sounded like you were reveling in my misfortune or possible misfortune.
Number one, KeKe, if you was coming into my court and with this whole thing of basically like, Tisha came to me off camera because that's what she basically said, because they had a pact.
Yeah.
Right? I totally forgot about this scene, by the way. I forgot this happened this season. They had a pact.
That was way at the beginning.
Exactly. Yeah. I forgot they wasn't talking in the beginning of this season.
Right.
And they in the same way this season, right? They had a pact that, hey, KeKe said, I'm not going to talk about your marriage no more. Right? And that's when Tisha said it in the confessional. She said, like, I don't want to trust her because, like, I've been down this road again, trusting her getting let down. And I get it. And just for her to break that pact and try to justify it, like, hey, look, Tisha asked me off camera about Marsau. I'm just repeating what somebody told me. No. There's something about that side of the family that just doesn't like accountability at all.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? If you was a concerned cousin, like Tisha said, you wouldn't have been gossiping with Mel and things like that. But continue.
Yeah. Well, KeKe says that Tisha's in denial, and we find out what KeKe means by that, and she's in denial about Marsau cheating.
Still talk about my husband.
Yeah. Tisha says that, this is crazy because KeKe's cheated on her husband.
Wow.
Her husband has cheated on her.
Wow.
Plenty of times.
Wow.
She even paid for somebody to go out on a date with her husband when they first started dating. So I am totally like with Tisha on this one. Like, you've got enough skeletons in your closet to where you really should not have nothing to say. You really should not.
Listen here. I will say this. If I was to defend KeKe, I'm going to go defend KeKe on one thing only. Okay. And we talked about this. This was the episode where she threw the drink in her face, right? I have a habit sometimes. And apparently, I'm sure some of y'all who are married, I'm sure y'all husbands do this sometimes. So I break out in sermons sometimes when I'm talking to Blair, right? And I make her cash at me, ties it off.
He don't make me cash, but he does ask, but I do not do it.
Right? So she disrespected her pastor, right? When KeKe threw that water in that woman's face, right? She was wrong. But we saw that Tisha was being passive aggressive, ignoring things like that, like purposely, like, oh, excuse me, and just purposely turning her back to her cousin, right? Blair explained in that episode that Tisha wasn't being an adult by saying, hey, right now, I'm not really feeling you. I don't want to talk to you, things like that, right? Let me teach you something or tell you something about passive aggressive, right? Passive aggression, right? I've learned that passive aggression is still aggression.
Yeah, it is.
So if it's passive, KeKe didn't choose to be passive aggressive. She chose to be aggressive.
Right.
That's just preference.
Right.
But it's still she met aggression
with aggression.
So I can't quote unquote be totally mad at KeKe because you're being aggressive towards me just passively.
And that's like when Mel went out to tell KeKe, like, did anybody say anything? Did anybody do anything? No, but that was on purpose.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that too, like, say she should have threw the water in her
Absolutely
face.
not.
No, I'm saying it just shows there's something childish about Tisha. There's something childish about that side of the family where they don't like accountability. They don't like being called on a carpet and things like that. What did you overall think about part one? I was entertained by it.
Yeah, I was entertained by part one. I like Marsau's little one-liners. They really had me laughing.
Marsau is funny.
I did want to speak about the fashions.
Go ahead. This is you. This is your lane right here. Go ahead.
I hate to say it, but I'd have to say the best dress out of everyone, men and women included.
Don't say it.
Martell.
We gonna lose some subscribers, y'all.
His suit was good. The colors were nice. It was a cool little style. It was tailored to perfection. I don't know what was going on with the women on the stage with the outfits. It was just not hitting. Like nobody.
I think Mel was trying to go for Renaissance, like with the silver.
But I felt like last year she did a cute Renaissance type thing with the and the straight hair and all that type of stuff. That was cute. But this was just, it wasn't hitting.
When I say Renaissance, I'm talking about Beyonce.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, okay. I don't know what it is. Maybe they need like a dress code. Like, you know how like on Housewives of Atlanta they have like a color code?
Yeah.
Maybe they need like a color code because everybody just came there on their own agenda and things like that. But overall, the fashion was okay. I'm not looking for the show and things like that.
Yeah.
But I will say that Tisha, you got to do better. You have shown, I think you are potentially... The more and more you talk on these reunions that you feel like you need to get back, I think you are literally burning money. That's how serious I think how you're acting. I think you're literally setting money on fire. Your money, by the way. You get what I'm saying? Money that could benefit you. You have not shown any attributes or any type of traits that you are a businesswoman at that, or at least a good businesswoman at that. You know what I mean? Anything else, Blair?
That's all I got.
Y'all be good.
Bye.